They made me to enter inside this other round hut, and when I entered inside of that room, the darkness that was inside there, you can't even properly explain it. I could not even see my own hands. I was surrounded by total darkness. I did not even know who was with me inside of that room. All that I could hear was that there was a person that was talking to me. I started to cry. I thought that I was brave. But the moment that they locked me inside of that room when I was doing my Ugutwala rituals, that was when I saw that I was not brave, because I had now witnessed things that were of a spiritual nature. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that we received about our brother who is saying that he went to Zim to do money rituals, and it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Please post my story as anonymous. I am a South African man and I am aged 38 years old, and I did money rituals in Zimbabwe, and I don't wish any of my people to ever go onto that adventure where they go to seek money rituals, because that wealth, it will disappear overnight, like what happened in my own situation. I used to be someone that was a little bit better in life because of my parents. We were a middle class family. But when I returned back, I stole the gift even from my own mother, her own gift that she was born with. I stole it and I started to use it. I stole the gifts of all of my relatives. So now as a family, the poverty that is afflicting us as a family, one cannot even properly describe it. Everyone is just poor. Everyone is just jobless, not because of the economy. I have cousins, I have relatives that are well learned, that are supposed to be working, those that even have experience, but because of the spirit of poverty that is following us as a family, there is no one that can even find their breakthrough. Because the dumb decision that I did was that when I was in Zimbabwe, I then made a mistake of dedicating our destiny as a family to the shrine of that traditional healer. I made this dumb decision because I was put in a situation whereby I was really scared. You are in a foreign country, and then the people that have said that they are going to assist you so that you can become rich, they have locked you in a room. And when we were in that area, I was told that there are a lot of snakes. And as a matter of fact, at that traditional healer's shrine, there were 3 people from that same village that had been bitten by a snake. And all of them, they were too poor for them to be taken to the hospital, because the hospital was said to be very far. And if they would try to go with them to the hospital, they would die anyway along the way. And then those people, they take you, they put you inside of this room where there is total darkness, you don't see anything. And they tell you that unless if you give something that is of a higher value in your life to the person that you're going to be communicating with in that room. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not even know that this was what I was going to witness inside of that little room, because from the outside, it just seemed like it was just a normal room. It even had holes on the roof. The door, it did not even have a proper door. So I just thought that I go in there and I talk with whomever that will be inside of that room, and then I come out. But little did I know that the room inside, it was covered by so much spiritual darkness, like one I had never witnessed or encountered in my entire life. So, Brother Nashi, when I was inside of that room, that was when I made the dumb decision to dedicate the lives of all of my relatives from my father's and from my mother's side. I dedicated their spiritual gifts to that traditional healer because they use these gifts to help other people that would have come to consult people that were looking for wealth like me. So, before I went to Zim, what kind of a person was I? I am a South African man. I even went to university. I graduated and I worked for a certain company, but I did not appreciate the life that my parents had given to me, Jesus Christ had given to me. I thought that I was special, too special, and I deserved something that was even more. So I was not willing to go through the stages in life whereby when you start working for a company, you don't start as the big boss. You start by being that guy who is sent to go and get coffee for everyone, in which I hated that because I was already coming from a family where we were not struggling. So I did not appreciate, and where my life was messed up. My mother and my father, they were too Christian. They never allowed us to explore the world. Yes, it is a good thing, but it is also dangerous. If you are a Christian, I think that one is supposed to let their children explore the world, to encounter the devil so that they know what they are fighting against. If my parents were not too prayerful, if I was not shielded by the prayers of my parents throughout my life, I was never going to be in the situation that I am right now. Because of their prayers, I was shielded from a lot. When I would get sick, my father and my mother, they will spend the whole night praying for me or for any of my siblings. Therefore, we started to take the word of God for granted. I started to see the Bible as if these were just stories about the people that lived a very long time ago, stories that were not even real at all. So when I would be reading the Bible, I would only read the Bible because my parents, they were strict. They said that everyone, before they go to bed, they were supposed to finish a chapter and to dwell upon that chapter and to meditate upon that chapter before you go to bed. So we would sit, it's either in the lounge or in the dining, everyone with their Bible, and then we will dwell upon the chapters that we would have read, and then you go to bed. So we developed a trick, me and my siblings. I know that it might hurt other Christians, but it is better that you know that as much as you pray, your children will never understand your suffering. Like my mother, she said that she loved to pray quite a lot because she did not believe it that she was going to make it. My mother was from Lesotho, by the way. When she came to South Africa, eventually met my father. My father was someone that was already working. But as for my mom, she said that she never knew that God was going to open the doors for him to find a man like my father because of the way that she used to struggle before she had met my father. So my mother was coming from that background whereby she was poor and she used to suffer quite a lot. And the moment that God blessed her, she did not want to let go of the God that she had seen in South Africa, the God that had done wonders for him. So we as her children, we did not understand. And that is the fact. When you are born poor and then you become wealthy, or maybe you are middle class, you can manage a very good lifestyle. You think that your children will understand your suffering. Your children will understand your pain, where you are coming from, but you'll be lying to yourself. Your kids will never appreciate the poverty that you used to have before you had them. So Christians also, they need to understand that when you pray, even if you force your children to pray, they will see you as someone that is heartless. And when they go out there, they will find other role models that are sent to them by the devil, other parents. Maybe they have friends who are not Christians, and when they go there, they will see their friends' parents being open-minded, and then they will say that these are good role models, yet there will be role models that have been sent by the devil. And when they are at home, they start to tell themselves that I am a prisoner in this house, I don't have any freedom. So let your children explore, let them come face to face with the devil. Let them explore, but pray for God to guide them as they are moving around, and let God protect them so that they do not come across dangerous situations, but they should meet the devil. Once you meet the devil, then you understand what is it that you are fighting against. So that was what was happening in my life. My parents, they had a solid foundation in Jesus Christ. My father even performed miracles of healing the sick. There was one woman that had cancer. My father prayed and fasted for 2 months. I had never seen someone fast that much for 2 months. My father was surviving. It's either on a slice of bread and then maybe a half cup of tea, a potato here and there, praying for that lady from our church that had cancer, and it disappeared. And that woman recovered without taking any kind of cancer medications. That is how that woman survived. So my father, when he performed that miracle, everyone was really shocked, and he had a very strong relationship with his God. Fast forward, I went to university, because when I was with my parents, I was living like a prisoner. I'm now in university. I am now exposed to the things of the world, and I was not properly trained in the spirit so that I can fight against whatever the devil was going to throw at me. All that I knew was that Christianity, it is not a free religion. You are supposed to choose every day. Every day you are supposed to choose between God and yourself. Choose obeying God or obeying your flesh. So I ended up giving in, because already I did not appreciate the prayers of my parents. When I gave in, I started to live in sin. I started to do things that were not expected of a Christian to be doing. And I got involved in a lot of things. And my darkest times was when I was now addicted in drugs. I was taking drugs. I had a couple of friends. When I became best friends with this other guy, he was a foreign student, and his parents were ultra rich, and he was into drugs, but he was afraid to go into the neighborhood where he could be buying the drugs. And as for me, I already had other cousins that were dealing in things that were criminal, and those were the ones that had access to the people that were dealing in drugs. Because of that access, we started to get the drugs, and I started taking in drugs. That is when I contracted HIV. I did not contract HIV through sleeping with a woman, but we used to share the needles that we were using when we were taking the drugs. So when you are a drug addict, you will reach a point whereby your friends will be those guys that you see on the street. When you do not have money, you can go to those people. So I would be broke one day when my friend was not in the country, when he would have gone back to his country, and I'm broke. I don't really have any money. I can't ask for money all the times from my parents, because my father will become so suspicious. What do you need this money for? What do you want to use it for? And because of that, when my dad will become so suspicious, then I will be in trouble. So what I did was that I then started to be friends with other drug addicts. Some of them, they were even taking the drugs on the street. They were living on the street. Because of that, I ended up contracting HIV. And at that time, I was not even sleeping with anyone. I was just enjoying taking drugs and nothing else. So it is something that I also regret, and I wish to warn other fellow South Africans: if you are a Christian, pray for your child when they explore the world to be guided by the Holy Spirit in whatever that they do. The devil, like a lion, he had devoured me and he had put me in my place. Returned back home after I had graduated, and I found a job. Like I told you, through the connections of my parents, I managed to get a job in that company where I was now working. I was working with a lot of white people. The majority of them, they were white people, and they expected me to behave a certain way as a black person. Like I told you, that there were times when I was expected to be the coffee boy, the one who goes and buy coffee for everyone, the one that is sent to buy lunch from everyone, not using my own money, obviously. I was the one that was always doing these little silly errands for everyone, and this was not something that I was getting paid for. So I started to develop an attitude, and because of that attitude, I ended up losing my job. When I lost my job, I tried to get a job. I tried by all means necessary to apply for a job, but unfortunately, by this time now, I was already cooked. I had so much bad luck, I could not get a job. I even failed. To see that, to show you that the devil, he was someone that was always following me, I went to see this other friend of mine. He was already working. His dad had a company. We were not like close friends, but we knew each other from our days at university. He then said that he was going to organize a meeting with his dad, sort of like an interview, to see if they could offer me some space in the company whilst I was looking for a job. And to show you that the devil was already finished me and I was already cooked at that time, I went to the interview with a sober mind, but I don't know. The devil maybe was holding my tongue with the slip of a tongue. I then mentioned that I was someone that was suffering from drug addiction. It is not something that I consider to be normal, because no normal human being can just come out and then start to tell everyone that I am suffering from a drug addiction problem. It is not possible that you can just mention something like that, because you are going to lose that opportunity to get the job that you want. But that is what I did. I don't know why. I told my friend and his father in that meeting that, guys, listen here, I'm going to be working with you, nice, but the problem that you might face is that I am someone that is living with a drug addiction, and I so hope that I can beat this drug addiction. And unfortunately, they could not hire me. They just lied to me on the spot that they were going to think about it, and they told me later on that I was not the perfect candidate that they were searching for. After I had lost that job, that was when I went to one of my cousin who was not doing so well in Pretoria as well. That was where he was staying. So I went to him and I said, cousin, man, I'm looking for a job, any kind of a job, because by then I had moved out. Because of my drug addiction, I was stealing things. I even sold my mother's car, and my mother did not want to see me with a criminal record. So I went on Facebook Marketplace and I took nice pictures. I just took my mother's car, drove it somewhere else, and I packed it, took pictures, and then I returned back home and I packed it and I sold it on Facebook Marketplace. I got too many offers and I would go out and meet with the guys. And one day I just stole my mother's certified ID copy, and then I stole the reg book of the car, and I went and I met up with this other man. And when I met him, that was when he gave me the money and I returned back home. My mother, when she came back, she was worried where her car was. The dumb thing that I did was that I sold the car. It had the tracker fitted on. I did not have money to remove that tracker, and I did not want the people to be suspicious that I had sold the car to. So it was quite easy to find that person And that man whom I had sold the car to, I did not sell the car to a South African. I made sure that the customers that I would only attend to, these were people that I would see that their surnames, they were not South African, knowing that if it is a foreigner, that was what I had in mind, I am going to threaten them and they won't go to the police. So the people that I would go and meet, I would only check their profile to see if they had non-South African surnames. So we went to the location according to where the tracker was. By then, I had already told my mother the truth when she panicked because she saw that her car had been driven out of Pretoria. Immediately, I told my mom and I said, Mom, please don't tell dad. I made a mistake. I sold your car. Please forgive me. My mother slapped me hard. She nearly killed me when she was slapping me. She cried and she said, how could you do something like this? How could you sell my car? You're going to get arrested. So my mother and I, we went in secret without informing my father to the location where that Zimbabwean man was staying. We arrived there. He was with his wife. So we went there with one police officer who was a friend of my mother's uncle, who was also staying in Joburg. So we went there with the police officer to make that Zimbabwean man to be afraid and to give my mother back the car. When we got there, the police officer explained to that Zimbabwean man that he had bought a car that was a stolen property and he could get arrested for that. And lucky enough, that man, he had not yet done the change of ownership. He still had the reg book. He still had the ID copy. My mother then made a transfer on that spot and returned back the money that I had been given. And as for me, that money, unfortunately, my bro, by the way, I was so much addicted that when I will get money, there were a couple of Nigerians that I knew. I would go with the money. If I had 10,000, to show you that drug addiction, it is demonic in its own nature. It is not normal at all. You have 10,000, you have stolen your mother's watch, you have gone to sell a watch, you have been given 10,000, you take that money, all of it, maybe 9,000 rands, and you go and you give it to your drug dealer. And those guys, they are honest. If you give them 9,000, they will sell you the drugs until the 9,000 is done. So that is what I did. I went with the money that I had been given by that Zimbabwean buyer to the Nigerian man, and I said, I want you to be giving me the drugs. And he was like, okay, we are cool. We used to do this. So the money, my mother could not recover it. I then ran away from home because of my drug addiction, and I went to my brother, my cousin brother. He was already working in the construction. So I started to work in the construction, but when I started to work in the construction, the work, it was too hard. Even for me, it was just difficult and it was too hard. But because I wanted money to buy drugs, I was just doing it anyway. As we were working in that construction company, we would go to different farms because we were working for a white man, and white people, they give each other contracts. We then went to Limpopo. We were supposed to renovate the house of the farm owner on that farm, and we were staying there. So I then saw something that I considered not to be normal. The way that the Zimbabwean garden boy was loved by the white man, it was something that was extraordinary. We were even gossiping about him. So we were working with other Zimbabweans. They were like, that man, he's using strong charms on his boss, because the boss, the way that he would call that Zimbabwean man, whom I am going to call Emmanuel. This Emmanuel, he was the one that was responsible for everything on that farm, and the boss loved his worker. You could even see that he loved this Zimbabwean man. And then I started to develop a relationship with Emmanuel because he also had a small shop. He was selling some stuff. So at night, I would sit down and I would talk with him. And then I said one day, man, why is it that these white people, they love you? They love you so much. And then he laughed. But in time, as we developed a relationship, because all of us, we smoked weed together. And he then said, there is a charm that I am using. And he laughed. And when he said that he had a charm, I then started to investigate even further. I then explained my life, the kind of a life that I was living, and it will be so helpful of him if he could help me to get that kind of a charm. I then said, if you had money, if you could be disciplined enough to save money, and when I go back home, he told me that in about 4 months' time, he was supposed to return back to his country. He said, when I go back to my country, then I can go with you, but you need to have money because you can't do this for free. So me and him, we then organized, we started to organize, and I even applied for a passport. When I got money, I told him, and then we went to Zim. We arrived in Zim, and I said that I want money. I want to do money rituals. I was then given some charms that I was supposed to use when I would have returned back home. But before I could return back home, that was when I was told that I was supposed to enter inside the room. And when they made me to enter inside of that room, when I went to sit down, they locked the door. When I sat down, there was no light that was even coming inside of that room. I could not even see my own hands. And I started to hear the voice of a person that was speaking inside. I got up from the chair where I was sitting, and then I started to walk around thinking that I will bump into that person. But whenever I would start walking around, then that person, it seemed as if he would be flying above me, because I would hear his voice on top of my head. When I would try to jump, trying to touch him, then the voice would move to the other corner of the house. It was really impossible for that person to be running around, because I was even hearing my own footsteps, but I was not hearing his own footsteps. The only thing that I was hearing, it was as if there was a bird inside of that room that was flapping its wings. Then I kept on hearing this voice. By then, they had given me this certain type of a charm that made me to feel as if I was losing my mind. Believe you me, I was speaking with this man in Shona, not in English. I don't know how, but I started speaking Shona, and I could understand Shona. When I was locked inside of that room, this person kept on asking me, what is it that you are going to give to me so that I can give you the wealth of my ancestors? What is it that is of a higher value to you that you can give to me? Then, because I was scared, I just wanted to leave that room. That was when I said, I give you the destiny of all of my relatives. He asked me, which relatives? Because any person that is born always has two types of relatives, from the father's side and from the mother's side. And then he asked me, when you say relatives, be specific, my son. Which relatives are you talking about? And then I said, I give you both. I give you both. Please release me, because I was afraid. I was afraid of the snakes, that there was a snake maybe that would enter into that room, and then this snake was going to bite me, and I was going to die in a country where I had heard that the public hospitals, they were not even functioning. So I was afraid that I was going to lose my life and to be buried in Zimbabwe. Then that spirit said it was done. The day when the spirit said that it is done, I celebrated. They opened the door for me, and then they took me out. They gave me a red garment, and they took me to the graveyard, where they washed me on whilst I was standing on top of a grave with milk. And then they said that I was free to go. When I return back to South Africa, I will start to make money. They told me not to even bother open a business, because the money that I'll be making, it will be magic money. I returned back to South Africa. When I returned back to South Africa, my mother and my father, they started fighting like I really do not know. They stopped going to church. My father then started sleeping with women. I even caught him. He was at the back seat of his car. He was sleeping with a lady that I recognized as a prostitute. How that even happened, how we got to that point, I do not know. maybe it was because of the charms that I brought with me from Zimbabwe. So I started to find money in my room. When I would wake up, a voice will tell me, look underneath the bed. Then I'll see that there is 10K, there is 20K. And I will hear a voice, use that money wisely, do whatever that you want, enjoy, go far away from your relatives, and I will give you even more. So I started to stay in another province because I did not want my relatives to know that I was enjoying life like the way that I was doing. Money was so much, and I was drinking on a daily basis, and I nearly died because of a drug overdose. Lucky enough, I collapsed when I was by the mall. So help came to me quite quickly. And when I was taken to the hospital, by the grace of God, even though I was a money ritualist, but I was assisted and I went through drug rehabilitation. But as for alcohol, I'm still doing alcohol to this very day. So my relatives, when I was enjoying money, my relatives, they were suffering in poverty that cannot be explained. So this poverty finally caught up with me. I did not know that this witchcraft from Zim, it is only but temporary. The success that they give to you, it is temporary, but the pain and suffering that they give to you, it is permanent. Right now, I am living in a permanent state of exhaustion. I am always exhausted. I can't do anything anymore. I can't get the money like the way that I used to get it when I returned back from Zim. I know that you people from Zim, you might find someone that can assist me, and I will be humble enough to respond to anyone that will come through Brother Nashim. All that I want is for someone to offer me help so that my family can return back to where they were supposed to be. Please assist me. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by our brother, and it was translated by our admin. Let us thank her very much. He also sent a message after that, which was translated like this. I forgot another detail. There was a day when I was in town. I was walking in town when the poverty started. I heard a voice of this Togoloshi that told me to look for a Nyaupe. I went downtown. When I was walking, it was around 10 p.m. The Togoloshi told me that you are going to be safe. As I was walking, that was when I saw a Nyaupe, a woman. She was just urinating close to this other refuse bin, and she attracted me. Yet she was just a Nyaupe woman. I went to him and I offered her 50 rand, and I slept with him without using protection. After I had finished sleeping with that woman, I then returned back to my place. I still had a nice place at that time. I sat down. I took the red blanket that I brought with from Zimbabwe, and I respected the Tokoloshi, thinking that maybe it is going to give me money. And I said, you told me to go and sleep with a Nyaupe. I have done so. What is it that you are going to give to me? The Tokoloshi laughed throughout the night, calling me a stupid man in Shona. And that is another detail that I had forgotten to tell you. Dear listeners, right there was another message that our brother sent to us. Let us try to find help for him. Let us speak with him again in the comment section. If you have ever done something that you wish to confess, you can come to my inbox and share with us your own side of the story. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Let us meet again in the following episode.